Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Nicole Russo, taking a look at race number 6 at Saratoga for this edition of Spa Babies. It's the Thursday, July 18th edition. Let's take a look at the field for race number 6. 5.5 furlongs on the turf. These are 2-year-old fillies running for a $100,000 purse in a maiden special weight. 10 in the body of the race. The 11, Annie Goodbody, is also eligible. Laughing Lady, the 12, has entered main track only. And we have a little bit of everything in here. First-time starters, experienced horses that were bred overseas, and a lot of quality.
Absolutely. And yeah, the mix of pedigrees in here when you have the horses who are bred overseas where, turf clearly reigns to right here where you have some freshman sires who were looking to perform well on the turf. I love these early turf races for the 2-year-olds because you can really start playing around with the pedigrees to look for some interesting factors here.
We'll start things off with a number 1, Flirting with Time. This is a filly by Yorkton, a first crop sire. Flirting with Time sold for $80,000 as a 2-year-old after breezing a furlong in 10 seconds flat. Lots of turf in the bottom of this pedigree. I'm not sure a lot of folks are familiar with Yorkton, however. Thus far, 0 for 4 with 2-year-old debut runners.
Yeah, Yorkton, a first crop sire by the versatile Speightstown, and he did his best work sprinting on turf and synthetic at Woodbine, won the grade 3 bold venture at 6.5 on synthetic twice, was also graded place sprinting on the dirt at Belmont, and Flirting with Time caught my eye. Some sharp recent works, including one on the turf at Saratoga. I'm really going to be interested to check out the Clocker report to see how our colleagues think this horse is working, because such a string of quick works, they probably don't want to keep asking a horse for that kind of speed over and over and over. So to me, on paper, looks like just a consistently fast horse. And that's important when you think about wanting a 2-year-old to get away from the gate well in a big field like this.
Number 2 is Abanto, one of 2 fillies in the race, trained by Mark Cassidy. Abanto will be piloted by Dylan Davis. Now, Abanto ran 4th in her career debut during the Belmont at the Big A meet. Suffered from a wide trip that day. Cassidy does well with his second-time starters, however, and this filly is a strong pedigree. I have to Mr. Hustle, a 2-year-old multiple stakes winning sprinter, who I think was champion 2-year-old in Canada.
And yeah, you make a great point with Mark Cassie's second time out horses, especially a factor here as one of the few experienced starters in the field. And how cool is this sire not this time? Has sired eclipsed champions on both dirt and turf in recent years. Sire of some of this year's most exciting turf sprinters in Grade 1 winner Cogburn and in Shareholder, a recent winner at the Royal Ascot meet, but also the sire of Next, that great dirt marathon specialist. You can really get it all from Not This Time.
The number 3 is Gathered. This is a gray filly by Collected, trained by Graham Motion. Manny Franco picks up the mount. Gathered has been training at Fair Hill, and she's got some pedigree as a half-sister to a Grade 2 stakes-winning dirt miler, a Grade 2 stakes-place dirt sprinter. There's a lot of dirt in this pedigree. It's interesting that Graham's going to opt to run on turf. He knows a lot more about it than I do, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And that same here. And I think this is where kind of that knowledge of pedigree can come into play, because you see Sire Collected statistics for his first time starters, and then as a turf sprint sire collected by City Zip, another one of those stallions who could get you everything, the sire of champions both on the main track and on turf.
The number 4 is Paraba Blue. This is a Pennsylvania bred by Fantastic, who is a long-winded turf runner. Only 5% winners with juvenile debut runners for the Fantastic progeny, but the second dam was a multiple stakes winning turf sprinter, so maybe the female family will infuse some speed.
Yeah, a good balance there. Fantastic. Just love his pedigree as a stallion prospect. Buy More Than Ready. Really hoping some of the sons for that late stallion carry on for him and for the Halo line in the U.S. From the female family of St. Liam and Gunrunner, they do seem to need a start or two. This one I'm going to take a wait and see approach.
Number 5, Will Rain, is a first-time starter for Mark Cassidy, an $85,000 yearling by Preakness winner War of Will, who, let's not forget, was a pretty good turf horse as well. War of Will, 1 for 17 with his 2-year-old first-time starters, 0 for 5 with his turf sprinters, but there is a lot of speed on the bottom of this pedigree.
Yeah, definitely. Some speed and some 2-year-old ability in that female family to balance out War of Will, who was a good 2-year-old, but really hit his best stride at 3 when he won the Preakness, and at 4 when he won the Grade 1 Makers Mile at Keeneland on the turf. Uh, they seem to be taking some time. I do suspect they'll want a little bit more distance than these sprints, at least 7 furlongs to a mile or longer. And you look at that 1 to 17, but the stallion is only half of the equation. I think part of that late development is also coming from the mares he was bred to, knowing the programs behind this horse and that they're giving him the time to develop. I'm not too worried by that slow start just yet for War of Will.
And the number 6 is Two Scoops, who goes out for an underrated trainer, and Tim Ham. Two Scoops is a second-time starter, having made her career debut over the all-weather at Presque Isle Downs and running quite well to be second, albeit with only a 30 Beyer speed figure. She's by Kentucky Derby winner Always Dreaming. Usually the Always Dreaming babies need some time and maybe some distance to improve, and this dam also won routing on turf and dirt, so maybe a little more distance?
Yeah, this is very interesting to me because I completely agree with you, Dan. I look at this pedigree and this page, and it says, that this filly wants distance, but she did run well in her debut sprinting. And Tim Ham, as you mentioned, an underrated trainer, doesn't send horses to Saratoga, just for the road trip. When he comes to Saratoga, he comes with something serious. Remember Day Out of the Office a couple of years ago. So never rule out his horses, even at a price.
Strong connections for the 7, Good Conduct, a first-time starter who attracts Jorge Ortiz for Cherie DeVoe. This one is by Without Parole. It's the first North American runner by Without Parole, who was a Group 1 winner early in his career before coming to North America and being trained by Chad Brown. Good Conduct already has 5 winners overseas.
Yeah, and being by Frankel, you expect Frankel's sons to have every chance at stud, and you've seen that already with the support Without Parole has gotten. The Gunther family just bred a winner at Saratoga, a terrific program this horse is coming from. And you mentioned Cherie DeVoe just having a terrific season in Kentucky and already off the mark in the first couple days of the Saratoga meet.
And the dam's a half to a Grade 1 stakes winner in Competition of Ideas, expecting some speed from Good Conduct. The 8 is Never Really No. This is a filly bred in Ireland and sold for $118,000 overseas. No Nay Never does very well, 17% with juvenile debut runners, and there's a lot of class and ability on the bottom of this pedigree. Norm Cassie trains, Ricardo Santana takes them out.
Yeah, and I would expect this one to be very, very fast with that speed underneath. Arizona is a terrific 2-year-old turf sprinter. That speed underneath No Nay Never, who was a good 2-year-old himself, very fast horse himself. One of those carrying the torch for Scat Daddy himself, a terrific sire of 2-year-olds. And, his sons are really just in the same mold. They're versatile, they're fast, they're good on the turf.
Not, not only the classy Europeans, Arizona and Nay Lady Nay in this family, the third dam won the Italian Oaks. The 9 is Moon Gate, going out for Christophe Clement, who trains both the 9 and the 10. She's a filly by Authentic, who already has 2 dirt winners this year, a $200,000 yearling purchase. There's a lot of dirt in this pedigree, but Christophe Clement decided to run her on the turf in her debut, and she ran quite well, finishing third. I think she gained a lot out of that effort.
Absolutely. A good third with a very respectable figure, certainly eligible to move forward from that. Authentic has had limited turf opportunities so far, but I see no reason why, when paired with the right mare, this mare, ran on dirt, but happens to be by Big Brown, who is a good turf sire here in New York. I see no reason why Authentic can't get some turf horses by leading sire Into Mischief, who is a versatile sire, the sire of turf winners like Grade 1 winners Atone, Gina Romantica. His son Golden Sense got his first career Grade 1 winner going to Vegas on the turf. Authentic might be, kind of a sneaky proposition here on the lawn.
The Moongate's Clement's experienced runner with John Velasquez aboard. The number 10, Brindy, is a first-time starter that attracts Irad Ortiz, another filly by No Nay Never. This one was bred in Ireland and sold for $195,000 overseas. The dam was a debut winner sprinting on synthetic, and the dam's a full sister to Emirati Anna, who is a very, very good turf sprinter overseas.
Yeah, Emirati Anna, just one of a really fun horse to follow in recent years. A globe-trotting horse, a Group 1 winning turf sprinter, has come over here to run in the Breeders' Cup. Another one by No Nay Never, who we mentioned, just speed on both the top and bottom of this pedigree. Going to have to work out a trip to avoid being wide around that turn from that outside post 10.
Brindy is trained by Christophe Clement. We have a DRF formulator fact for Clement. Past 4 years, 2-year-old first-time starters racing in maiden special weight turf sprints at Saratoga. Good numbers, 3 for 11 with a $3.76 return on investment. The 11 is Annie Goodbody, a bargain filly by Warfront on the also eligible list. Laughing Lady, the 12, is entered main track only, so it's top pick time for our Thursday race of the day. You're going with Flirting with Time. First crop sire Yorkton breaks from the inside. Louis Saez, Joe Sharp. You're going to get a price on solid connections.
I think so. And I think there are a lot of ways you can go in this race. So I think it's a good sort of race to look for a price. Ultimately, my eye just kept going back to that work tab for Flirting with Time. As I said, you're going to want to check out the Clocker report produced by our colleague Mike Welsh and his team up at Saratoga every morning up before the sun. Tip of the hat to them. But Flirting with Time, looking at that work tab, just strikes me as a naturally and consistently fast horse, the sort who can perhaps work out a trip from that rail. And I like the turf and sprint ability in this family.
Trainer Cherie DeVoe sent out nothing but live horses thus far at Saratoga. I hope that streak continues with the 7, Good Conduct, a filly by Without Parole, who's doing some nice things overseas with his first crop. 1-8-2-10 for Nicole, 7-8-2-1 for me. It's race 6 at Saratoga for the Thursday edition of Spa Babies. Best of luck.